Welcome back to episode 3, everybody, on the Hardcore Sports Network. Blake and Hayden bringing you episode 3 of the Longball podcast. And Hayden, I know you had a busy week moving back into school, moving back across the state of Florida, getting all your stuff back together. But welcome back. We're glad. I believe this is actually episode 4, correct?
I believe, yes, it would be episode 4.
So I'm actually gonna have to change the title as we go live throughout this. But how you doing, man? I know you had a busy week, but welcome back to the show.
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. It's good to be back. Excited to talk some Mets, Braves, baseball all around. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And of course, we'll start the show by introducing ourselves. Of course, I'm your host, Blake Newsom, and joined by co-host Hayden. Our Twitter ats are below at Newsom Sports ATL. You can follow us along with yours is at Hayden Mets, correct, Hayden?
That is correct.
And yeah, we got a lot to talk about. I know for the people that were here last week, we did cover some topics with my other co-host RJ, but I'll let Hayden speak his mind on anything if he chooses to also want to add a comment on things like the Fernando Tatis PED suspension. So, without further ado, what's up? Hardcore Sports, how we doing? We're live on that same platform. Ironically, maybe that's why it's not letting us stream over there. So that's very funny. Either way, let's go ahead and get this started. I want to ask you, I know at the beginning of the show we usually have like a little tangent to get our bias out of the way. So since you were gone for the last week, you mentioned off the air that you've been really honed in on the Mets because there's only so much time you've had. So let's give everybody a 4 or 5 minute breakdown on what's going on with the Mets right now, which I know they're mid game as we speak.
Yeah, Mets are doing pretty well for the most part. I mean, obviously, besides that weekend series in Atlanta, we don't need to discuss that. But for the most part, the Mets have been playing pretty good baseball for the most part. Obviously, right now they're having a phenomenal Mets and Phillies series. Obviously, that is a 4-game series. They are currently in Game 4 right now, tied 7-7 in the 7th inning. So very impressive there. But took the first 2. Lost yesterday's, but worst case, you split or you win. Obviously, that Brave series was very inadequate, obviously. Pitching was just really out of control for the most part for the Mets. Obviously, losing Carrasco, losing Walker was really a big blow. Obviously, Walker is day-to-day. He did have some back tightness, so he'll be fine. He was supposed to make a start today, but just for safety reasons, obviously Walker, he's a big guy. He's been injury prone in the past. Obviously, his time in Seattle and Toronto, he was a guy who, in those 2 years over there, only threw 30 innings in those 2 years due to injury. And obviously, Walker, like I said, he's a big dude. He's a unit. You have to be very cognizant when it comes to this guy and him hurting himself even more. So obviously, Mets just taking a precautionary type of thing right there. He'll probably be back for his next start, just, kind of a week off. So he's day-to-day, but no worries about him. Carrasco is going to be out probably for 4 to 5 weeks. Obviously, Carlos Carrasco suffering that unfortunate injury inside of the Braves series. He exited with left side tightness. Probably going to be gone for 4 to 5 weeks. I mean, you look at that left oblique strain. Those are kind of complicated. So he's going to have to figure out something there. Really unfortunate with Carrasco. He was really starting to figure out his repertoire. His slider was looking nasty recently. So it's unfortunate. But like I said, the Mets have plenty of depth. So there's really no worry. Obviously, McNeil has been doing a phenomenal job offensively. This dude is raking. Lindor, he's been raking. Marte has been raking. Alonso, obviously. Canna, Nimmo, you got the whole squad. So that's been really good there for the most part. Obviously, you have Edwin Diaz. He's been lights out. Mets are pretty much doing Mets-like things. Obviously, they're playing pretty much at the same level of baseball that they have really for all year round now. And, when I see a lot of people saying, oh, the Braves are inching closer. Well, yeah, it's because the Braves in the first half, they weren't playing well. The Mets are still playing at the same level as they were in the first half. It's just the Braves are playing at a much better level than they were.
Every time we get close to you guys, you pull right back away, though. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, I mean, there was what was it? It was
10.5, then it was down to a half, then it was back to 7, and right now it's at 3.5. And if you win 4, Philly holds on 3.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, right now the NL East, it's really close. Obviously, lucky, fortunate enough that you and I are Mets and Braves fans. So we get to kind of explore this NL East division title showdown together. But yeah, like I said, Mets are doing Mets-like things. There's really no major complaints with them. DeGrom has been doing DeGrom-like things. Pitching's been holding down the fort. Offense is doing their job. LFGM.
Do you want to talk about Brett Beatty?
Oh, yeah, duh. Got to talk about Beatty. Obviously, the Mets had multiple prospects make their debut in terms of this week. Obviously, Jose Budo made his first outing today from AAA. He was all right in AAA, to say for the least. Budo, probably not the first guy you would want to call up for an outing like this. Obviously, like I said, Walker was supposed to start today, but they didn't have that. And you had a day-night doubleheader yesterday, so obviously the Mets went to Jose Budo. 4 innings, 7 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Make up how you want with it. First inning got lit up. Second inning, third inning, he got out clean. He really started to use his changeup and his secondary pitches more, trying to find his groove in there. And then just, the long ball was a big thing for him for the most part. So probably get sent back down to AAA probably tomorrow. Like I said, when you're posting a 4 flat ERA in AAA, I mean, are you really ready for the MLB? We'll see. But yeah, Budo, obviously. And then Brett Beatty. Beatty, a guy who was called up due to the Luis Guillorme and Eduardo Escobar injury. Escobar is back, but he's not 100%. And obviously, you can't put a guy that's not 100% out there at third base. So Beatty came in, and his literally second pitch in the MLB, he hits a 2-run homer to right. So really interesting to see Brett Beatty make a direct impact. Obviously, already has 3 hits so far in the 21 at-bats he's had, with 4 of those being RBIs. So, yeah, we'll see. Obviously, Beatty is a guy who is definitely going to acclimate to the MLB. He's a gap-to-gap hitter, spreads the field, bat-to-ball contact. He's a good contact merchant. That's always a plus to have. You look at this Mets lineup with guys like McNeil and Nimmo and Lindor, contact guys. You add Beatty to that mix. That's phenomenal. Yeah, he has great speed on the base paths. I mean, defensively, I've kind of had some concerns with him regardless, but he has plenty of time to work on that. Whether he gets sent back down to AAA, depending on how things go with Guillorme, we'll see. But I'd much rather Beatty at bat than Escobar. I mean, Escobar was pretty much coming into situations and doing more harm than anything good for this Mets team. So the Mets said, we'll call up Beatty. They did it in 2015 with Conforto. That was more of a different reason. They weren't getting much offense, where this is more, they had the offense, but they didn't have any depth at third. So I like that. I really do like Brett Beatty, Mets prospect number 2. I think 22 or 23 in MLB. He's been a guy that I followed for quite some time now, and it's really good to see him at the MLB level having a direct impact.
2 questions for you.
Fire away.
And we'll get to the chat in just a second. Sorry for your guys' hold up. We'll get to all the questions you got here in just a little bit. So please stick around. So, question for you, Hayden. First one being, I'm sure you would rather have Beatty and Guillorme over Escobar, correct? Like, you'd rather have those 2 in combination when healthy over Eduardo, right?
Yeah, I mean, Escobar is a switch hitter, but the thing is, Beatty could really pull the ball opposite field. So, I mean, does it really make a difference? Unless you believe in that righty, lefty stuff, it doesn't really make a difference. But to answer your question, yes, 100% as of now. Like I said, we'll see. I mean, there's plenty of guys who get called up, they rake, and then they just decline a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in. So we'll see if Beatty can be consistent.
Now, I think to note, right, since it's you got 5.5 weeks till the beginning of the playoffs, 3 good weeks is going to be really crucial for you guys. 3 weeks at this point in the year, you guys will take every at bat. So I think in that regard, if there's a time to have a good 3-week stretch as a rookie with the September call-ups being around the corner, now's your time, right? So my second question would be, you mentioned Michael Conforto, who, of course, I know was not signed this year because of a shoulder injury, if I'm not mistaken, or he had some issue with his back. It was something along those lines. Could you see the Mets possibly reuniting with him next year, being that it looks like you'll be offloading a couple guys' contracts this year?
I think there's a possibility. When it comes to Conforto right now, the fact is he hasn't played in almost over a year. Obviously, his last at bat was October 1st of 2021. And we're approaching, I mean, we're in the dog days of August, where he hasn't played in over a year. So I really wonder, how bad is his value right now? He had a really unfortunate down year last year. And then you add on top of him not playing. and it's a back injury. And I mean, back injuries are kind of the worst things to have as a defensive outfielder and, a good hitter in Conforto, which what he's been in the past. So it comes to the point is, what is his value going to be at? We know he's a Boris guy. We know Boris wanted this price that was through the roofs with Conforto. I mean, they wanted, 250, 275 for Conforto, somewhere around that line. And it comes to the point where I don't see any team being willing to give him a 275 million, 255 million dollar contract when you had a down year in 2021 and haven't even played since. I don't know any team that would go out there and do that unless you're really looking into his numbers. And if you are, then you wouldn't give him that money.
In your franchise that doesn't historically run that well.
Yeah. And I just don't, like I said, he's a great outfielder. He really is. When it comes to Conforto, you minus 2017, you minus 2018, you minus 2019. I mean, really just 17 and 19. I mean, 2020, he was great. Okay, that's a shortened season, whatever.
Yeah,
But
a
it's
lot of
hard. I
good
mean,
players in 2020 that aren't anymore.
with Conforto, you see a lot of ground balls, a lot of strikeouts, and a lot of walks. And I mean, it depends. Are you going to want to deal with that? I think he's a great defender. He's definitely a Gold Glove caliber defender. But you look at the splits with Conforto, I think it'd be very hard to make a case for that $250 million margin or whatever he wants. I think something around those lines. But as of right now, when the Mets had their DH question, I was getting on my channel a lot. Hayden, should the Mets bring back Conforto as the DH? Should the Mets bring back Conforto as the DH? And I said, you know what? Half a season, call it, 1 year deal, it doesn't hurt. But I haven't heard anything with Conforto. Last I checked, Scott Boras, his agent, said that he was going to sign with the team once the draft was over. And last I checked, the draft has been over for what,
A month
a
and
month?
change. Yeah.
So, I mean, and then the trade deadline was next. Trade deadline's been over since
The second
20-something days. So I just don't, I don't know. It's weird. So, like I said, I really love Conforto as a Met. I think the Mets have a much better team now. Listen, I really love Conforto, but I'm taking that outfield of Canna, Marte, and Nimmo.
which I know you guys also have to decide how much money you pay Nimmo this offseason. Anyways,
Yeah, that I'm not worried about.
Yeah, I think Uncle Stevie will get him probably more than he needs just to make sure he's happy, right? So let's go ahead and jump into these comments here for a minute. Just say hello to how everybody's going on. Of course, our streaming platform, Hardcore Sports, says hi on Pat should say. Your buddy Gio comes in, says, "Hey, let's go Mets." How you doing, Nate? One of our friends over at the Hardcore Sports Network, another big baseball fan. I'm sure he'll be on the show with us at some point in the future. How you doing? And of course, the big Cardinals fan in the community, Drunk, says Pujols with his 692nd home run, of course, last night. And yeah, I definitely want to get into this topic in a couple minutes. So I guess while I'm at it, do you want me to do my quick tangent on the Braves, and then
Sure.
we'll go off on. I think that's a good place to start. Is the Pujols 700. So
yeah, I like that.
Here's where we're at. So, of course, the Braves lost earlier today by a final score of 5-4 over the Houston Astros. Bad bullpen management. Atlanta had other people available in the 8th and 9th inning in a 2-2 game. They go with the two long relievers. Shocker. They gave up 3 runs, and Atlanta was able to score 2 in the 9th to no prevail to lose 5-4. So, as of right now, Atlanta, actually, this isn't very updated. I might as well refresh my page. It says the Mets are 73-40, and I know they have 78 wins right now. So, I don't know if that's fully accurate. What's good, Alec? As of right now, I believe they are 75-48. I'm about to check. Okay, so this website, MLB.com, is bugging right now. Either way, I know the Braves are 3.5 back as of if what happens in the Mets game. They are 75-48. I'll put with an asterisk because it says they're 69-46 on this website, whatever that means to say. But the last week for the Braves has been very good. They played debatably two of the top 3 teams in baseball at home for a week straight, and they went 5-2 in that stretch. The 2 losses, they were easily winnable. So you come out of that week playing the Astros and the Mets, feeling really good about yourself. Of course, the World Series rematch, Atlanta walks them off last night. Friday night, they go out there, 6 innings from Kyle Wright, Kenley Jansen with a nice 9th inning, and Atlanta won a big series. And of course, Hayden, we talked about this a couple podcast episodes ago. We had the big 5 game series up in Queens where you guys absolutely took it to the Braves. Took 4 out of 5, won the next night against the Reds in a 3.5 series or 3.5 division lead was up to 7. Atlanta's charmed it back down to 3.5 games in that time period on Atlanta soil, and that was debatably the whole year on the line. Um, if the Mets find a way to win that series or even split the series, I think Atlanta comes out of that division feeling comes out of that series feeling really defeated, knowing that they might have just lost it. Because we only have 3 more matchups with you guys. And it's the second to last series of the year, and I have a feeling one of us might be clinched by then. So it really will be interesting to see how that ends up playing out because I don't think the Braves, as of right now, will catch the Mets if it's past Labor Day. Past Labor Day, the Mets have debatably the easiest schedule in baseball. And in September, the Braves still have to face the Phillies 7 times. They got to go at San Francisco, which I know they're not quite the team that they were last year, but still a rough environment, a team fighting for the playoffs. And they got to go visit those Mariners up in the Pacific Northwest. So I believe past Labor Day, if the Braves are behind the Mets, I know Hayden, you like to hear this too. I believe the Mets will probably hold on to the division, being that it's just going to be hard for the Mets to lose 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7 in scenarios where you're going to want them to. As of right now, they go to Pittsburgh this week for a 3 game set, and I believe we face the Rockies or the Cardinals soon after that. Which of course we'll get into the Cardinals here in a couple minutes. Jake Odorizzi's on the mound for the Braves tomorrow, which I want to say I'm sure Brett Beatty is going to love that man for the rest of his life. First at bat, throws him a little hanging meatball, and Brett Beatty took it to the chop house for his first career homer and his first career at bat. But yeah, I mean it was a great week for the Braves. A couple bad bullpen games that I wish that we could have handled differently. Um, Specifically the one today, where the Braves were primarily in a great spot to win and sweep the best team in the American League, but they could not do so. And of course, with the Mets on a 7-3 comeback currently, it might end up looking like one of those days where the Braves really shot themselves in the foot. But yeah, I'm loving where Vaughn Grisham's at. We called him up about a week and a half ago, our middle infield prospect, because of our second basemen are all injured. Orlando Arcia pulled a hamstring in Fenway Park. Ray Adrianza, who we brought back from the Nationals, the cap that you're repping today, at the trade deadline might be out for the rest of the year. And we still haven't heard a lot on Ozzy Albies, if he'll even be back this year. So it was really crucial for the Braves to call up another rookie who, just like Michael Harris, who got his money this week, has not played a single game at AAA. And as Hayden was saying, he might give you 3 good weeks and crap the bed from there. But 3 good weeks as of right now is a lot of what's left on the schedule. Had another 2 hits today, a big home run last night. He's got 5 doubles, 3 homers. He scored, I don't know, 16 or something runs in the bottom of the order already within the first couple weeks. The bottom of the order for the Braves has been churning with Eddie Rosario, Robbie Grossman, Michael Harris the second, and Vaughn Grisham. It's been a great lineup, 1 through 9. Um, with the exception of Marcelo Zuna not being in that lineup, and we'll probably talk about him later in this episode for other reasons. But yeah, it was a great week as a Braves fan. Today didn't go the way we wanted, but I believe we're right back where we needed to be. We kind of I don't know if we scared you guys to a degree, but we let you know that the division wasn't going to be over in the month of August, which I feel like maybe set a fire under both teams. You know, the Atlanta won 9 games in a row after losing 4 out of 5 in Queens and set themselves up with another great week at home. So that's for the Braves. I love what they did. They had a couple big minor league spot starts last weekend to set up the rotation for this Mets series, which they won 3 out of 4, and they'll keep going from there. So there's that. All right, you want to talk some Cardinals? I know that we have a couple people. How you doing? This is the newest member of the Hardcore Sports Network. Positive Philly Productions was just live before us. So how you doing? Good to hear from you this evening, sir. And I hope that you enjoy your time on this network like the rest of us. So it's a big family over here. So if Drunk's still in the chat, I hope so, because this is the topic that he wanted to hear. Albert Pujols, Hayden, is on pace right now where he could hit 700. And honestly, I'm hoping he doesn't get it because I want to see him play another year. I want to see him play one more year because he's also right at the point where he could be a 300 career average hitter. People are not understanding right now. He has a 298 career average. If he has an above average platoon year next year, the dude's going to retire with 700 homers plus and over 300 career batting average. And that would be absolutely crazy. Tell us what's going on in the Mets game.
Yeah, Marte stole, Hand went to pick him off, and they threw it in center field. That's a surprise. So Marte is safe at second. Um, yeah, I mean, in terms of Pujols hitting 700, I know that there was something that he said a couple weeks ago, saying that he's still going to retire no matter how many home runs he hits.
Damn.
I don't know if you caught his press conference, but he pretty much said, "I'm going to retire whether I have 695, 696, 699." He doesn't get caught up in numbers, to quote him. Obviously, Pujols, like I said, 5 home runs in the last 7 games. Um,
Crazy.
this was a dude who had 7 in the last 15 and 9 in the last 30. I mean, those are just great numbers. Obviously, 2 home runs. Yes.
Mid Mets games with
Oh
Hayden's.
no, Lindor just drilled that foul. Damn it. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
You're
Pujols.
good.
Right. Yeah. Pujols obviously having a really good series against the Diamondbacks last night. 2 home runs, but like I said, 5 in the last 2. I mean, I'm 5 in the last 7. That's great. Like I said, Pujols, he's a Hall of Famer regardless. 692 home runs. I mean, that's just phenomenal. Not many people expected to get him to get to 700 this year. Obviously, we know that. Who knows? Maybe he got some pop in afterwards from the home run derby.
Hmm.
That's something that always helps out a lot of guys. Um,
I hope
but
that they
yeah,
still have like a course field trip left in there to make sure he gets another
I
one or
think
two.
they just I think they just went to Coors Field actually.
Okay.
Don't quote me
Okay.
on it. I know they just played the Rockies. I don't know
I'll
if they
double
went
that on
to
that.
Coors or what happened, but like I said, 692 home runs. You do the math, he needs 8 more to get 700. I mean, I think having 700 home runs is just something phenomenal that you don't see in baseball a whole lot. This especially,
I mean,
700 and 3,000 club of 700 home runs and 3,000 hits. There's only what 3 members in the 700 club. I mean, you're
yeah,
talking Barry Bonds was like 762 or something like that.
with an
Hank Aaron
asterisk.
and Babe
Sammy
Ruth.
Sosa. Yeah.
Um, So I mean, like I said, Pujols is literally the only closest active player to get to that number. So I think it would be phenomenal to see a guy like Pujols do it. Considering, I mean, Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, I don't think we were alive at that time. Barry Bonds, yeah, I was that 2000 and
Rest in peace, Hank Aaron.
when did Bonds play his last game? Like '07? Yeah. So I mean, I was alive, but I wasn't really following baseball much back then. I was
Me
born in
either. Yeah.
2002.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think it would be phenomenal to see a lot of, and I think it would really help a lot of the younger generation. I mean, Pujols obviously did a lot of his stuff, around that time, late thousands, early 2010. So I think it'd be great to see um, a lot of the younger generations to see Pujols get that historical mile. But it would be phenomenal, really, for Albert Pujols to get the 700 home runs. That would just be, like I said, historical, phenomenal, whatever you want to say. I think he'll probably do it. Like I said, right now the Cardinals have how many more games? And I think they have like 30, 37, 38, something around those lines. Like I
Yeah.
said, if you put him out there every day, whether he's DHing, obviously I don't think he's going to take first base from Goldschmidt. And even if you want to DH Goldschmidt every now and then to get some rest, you put Pujols out there. But they're playing Chicago. I mean, they're playing plenty of more games at home. They're playing
They get
plenty of more games.
Cincinnati as well, a hitter's
Yeah,
ballpark.
they're playing plenty more games against the Reds. They have a series against the Nationals. So I mean that it's definitely reasonable. I think it is possible. Um, and I'm rooting for him honestly to get it.
Me too. And while we're on the topic, let's discuss where the Cardinals are at right now. Of course, they're first place in the National League Central. I've been saying since early June that I feel like they were the better team, especially after that Josh Hader trade at the deadline. I feel like that was the Cardinals' division to lose, and right now I believe they got a 5-game lead on the Brewers. I feel like that's going to hold up. What about you?
Yeah, the NL Central is very close. That Cardinals Brewers combination is really going to be something. I mean, there was a point where, for a week, where they were tied for that. And obviously now the Cardinals have a 4.5 game lead ahead of the Brewers. Cardinals have a pretty favorable schedule, obviously. Playing against the Rockies, now against the Diamondbacks. They won both of those series. And obviously, Cardinals offense has been on fire, the last 2 series. I mean, scoring 13 runs, 16 runs. I mean, they've been on fire. I mean, yeah, it's against the bad team, so take it with a grain of salt. But still, you don't see every day, 16, 13 runs on below 500 teams. So that's good to see. I mean, like I said, Cardinals are really getting, MVP years, obviously from Goldschmidt, obviously Arenado. And then, you got the trio of the Veterans Club and Pujols, Molina, Wainwright. And I mean, defensively, this is a phenomenal team. I think the Cardinals, in my opinion, are the team to win the NL Central. I have them as the NL Central. Um, I mean, and then you look at the Brewers. I mean, you have that pitching core. Brewers are an interesting team, obviously. Like I said, they don't have much offense. Yelich
No,
is really not been doing much this year. I
no.
mean, we're talking guys like Keston Hira, Hunter Renfroe, Rowdy
Luis
Tellez,
Arias,
Luis Urias. I mean, and, the
Colton
renaissance of Andrew
Wong.
McCutcheon. So, I mean, they really do rely on their pitching, and I guess that can get them far. We saw what happened in the playoffs last year with them, but we don't need it. So yeah, like I said, right now I think the Cardinals are the team probably to win the NL Central. I think the Brewers probably will get into the wild card spot, but Cardinals are just they're playing good baseball. There's no other
I
really way
mean,
to say it.
let's see where the Brewers are at the wild card. I believe if the playoffs started today, they'd be outside, but I'll double check real quick. I believe
I
it's San
believe
Diego. And
so.
yes, so it is as of right now. The Brewers are 1.5 games out of the postseason right now. The Braves holding down the top wild card spot with the Phillies and Padres separated by half a game. Phillies on top as of right now. And you got the Brewers 1.5 behind, and the only other person in the mix is the Giants at 6.5 behind. So 8 teams only in play for the National League at this point in the year for 6 spots. I kind of want to switch gears here. Let's talk about the team that rivals your city, a team that I've been saying since mid-May is not a team, not a 15-20 team, and finally they've hit the point in the year where injuries have caught up to them. The division's starting to tighten. They had a big win today over the Blue Jays, final score of 4-2. Andrew Benintendi with a big game-winning home run. Let's talk about the Bronx Bombers.
Yeah, I mean Yankees. Where to get started with them? I mean, obviously, besides that one Luke Voigt walk-off grand slam in today's game, they really have not been having it. I mean, the last time this team has won a series has been. Have they won a series at all in the second half? I don't
I don't think they've won one in
even
August.
think
I don't
so.
think
No,
they've
they
won a
haven't. I don't
single
even know if
series.
they won one at all in the second half. I mean, I think the last was the Orioles, and that was July 24th. But yeah, the Yankees. I mean, I don't know if you guys caught Aaron Boone's press conference yesterday, but he was not happy. He banged on that
Slammed on
table
that
and
mic.
was saying how they're so close, and they are. I mean, this is a team right now that on paper has phenomenal numbers, and I get it. Judge has been a little bit in a slump the last couple days, last couple weeks, last couple series. Okay, I get that, and a lot of their roster has been. I mean, right now this is a team who offensively has not been clutch lately, not been taking very selective at bats. And then, I mean, simply enough, you look at their pitching staff. I mean, Frankie Montas since joining the Mets, since joining the Yankees, has been horrible. I think his first 2 big starts, he really crapped the bed. Obviously, you look at other guys, Giancarlo Stanton, Josh Donaldson, Anthony Rizzo. I mean, this team is just not executing. I mean, their bullpen has collapsed completely. Look at Clay Holmes. He had an all-star season, a phenomenal first half, and simply enough, just has not been having it all in the second half. I mean, this is a dude who would come in to try and save the game and give up 5 runs to the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 9th inning. I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
And listen, relievers are streaky. I get it. But their bullpen has collapsed big time. Their bats are not as clutch as they used to be. Yeah, I mean, Montas has been horrible. That's been a big contributor. I mean, I think Cole pitched the other day. I think he got a little lit up. He wasn't happy. This Yankees team, I don't know what it is. It seems like it happens really every year for the last 3-4 years with them. The beat reporters are going to fire Aaron Boone like they do every year. Whether
yes.
Cashman is going to do something about it, whether Cashman gets fired, whether Boone gets fired. I mean, in my opinion, I think both of those 2 guys just need to go. Honestly, when it comes to
Yeah.
Cashman, I get it. He's been with the Yankees for God only knows how long. He's been with them for quite a while, and
I just feel like the
really,
Yankees aren't themselves anymore. Like,
and I just think it's time to get a new change of scenery in that GM's office. I really do. And I get it, when the Yankees were, playing really well in the first half, everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, we love Cashman, we love Boone, yeah, Judge, yeah, no, yada yada yada." And I think the Yankees have plenty of good things to look forward to. They're still a playoff team. I still think they'll win that AL East title.
I
I
still
think
think
that
they're an
Aaron Judge
ALDS defeat.
I still think that Aaron Judge is on pace to get that Roger Maris record. They have plenty of good things to look forward to. It's just, you got to look at that division right now. You got teams out there, the Blue Jays, the Rays. Rays are only 8 games back. So,
Which it was
same
what,
for the Blue Jays.
16 at one point in time. So
Yeah, so I mean, look at the Mets and Braves. They were 10 ahead, and now they're getting close. So I mean, anything could happen. And considering that the Rays and Yankees and Blue Jays are going to play each other plenty more, you got to be cognizant of that. I mean, really, to say for the least. I mean, Yankees Mets have a big 2-game series tomorrow. I mean, those are breathing rooms for both teams. And then Yankees have some easy games against the Angels and A's. Those are games you got to win. But there's a lot of games between the Yankees and Rays left, the Yankees and Blue Jays left. There's one each of Yankees and Red Sox and Yankees and Orioles. These are games that the Yankees have to win. I mean, simply enough, they've been 11 and or 12 and 30 something since the All-Star break.
yeah.
It can't happen. So with the Yankees, I mean, I just simply don't know what to say with them. I mean, this is a much worse. I mean, we saw last year they had a little bit of a slump, and Yankee fans were kind of losing it. But this is just on a whole other level.
And I think the weird part is like last year, this August was the opposite for them. They were dead in the water until they had like a 12-game win streak in the middle of August that sprung them to the wild card. And of course, them losing 2 or 3 at the end of the year to Tampa really kind of screwed their odds because you think if they have that wild card game in Boston, they maybe or in the Bronx instead of Fenway, they maybe win that game and they give the Rays a run for their money just like the Red Sox did. Um, it's just I just knew it from the month of May. I said this team is not a 52 and 20 team. They had too many guys that were just doing unbelievable things that was not going to sustain. I mean, who would have thought 6 weeks ago that if you would have told a Yankees fan, hey, you're going to be wanting Aroldis Chapman to be your closer again come another month, they would have slapped you in the face and been like, what the
Yeah.
hell are you talking about? So, it's just, I don't understand how everything that's gone wrong that like went right for them in the first half is honestly the opposite. Like they haven't just come down to earth; they have gone below that. Like they have not, as we mentioned, they have not won a single series in the month of August. Not only that, they have not. When's the last time they won a big series against a big opponent? They got swept by you guys. They got kicked 6 out of 7 to Houston. They got swept by the Cardinals. They've lost back-to-back series against the Rays and the Blue Jays, respectively. So, what big series have they won since the All-Star break? I mean, I'm trying to think about other teams that they've collided with. I think those are the big 5 series they've had, and they have not won a single one of those. I think they won maybe one game in 2 of those series. So it's just unbelievable to me. Like, of course, it's kind of hard to absolutely love the Yankees as a non-Yankee fan. That's just unfortunate as it is. It's their fan base, not the team. I like a lot of the players that they got on that team. I f with a lot of those guys. I think they're one of the more friendly Yankee teams in a long time, if that makes sense. Like a lot of guys that are a lot more likable than teams they've had over, the last 20 years or so. But I think at some point or another, you knew that this part of the season was going to come. I had them outside of the playoffs to start the year, and I'll admit to that. I had them I had them being the 7th seed in the American League. I thought that the Red Sox, the Rays, and the Blue Jays all were better. I did not have the Orioles on that record, so of course, with baseball, clearly you never know everything. But I thought that the Yankees were a 4th place team, now over 500, but a 4th place team going into the 2022 season, and it's just unbelievable the fall that they've had. Yeah, I was surprised this offseason when they brought back Aaron Boone to what, a 5-year deal. It wasn't like another 2-year up. It was 5 years or 4 years to a dude that it looked like they ran Joe Girardi out of town. Now they're laughing about that, saying, well, Philly fired him too. Well, it looks like your beat writers, as Hayden said, are going to fire Aaron Boone again this offseason. But again, I've said it since May. I said even if this team wins the American League East, I don't think they're getting out of the ALDS. The way they were when they were winning games, the way they were winning them was not going to sustain in the postseason. They were relying too much on Aaron Judge. Teams will pitch around a certain player in the playoffs. They won't do it in the month of May. They were having too many games where they were coming back from 6-2, and other than that, like their whole pitching staff was pitching 7 innings of perfect. I mean, wasn't it there was like a week straight where they had like 7 innings of perfect game night after night from Talion Montgomery, which has been great for the Cardinals since then, and Harrison Bader has not played a single game in the Yankees uniform. Another interesting point to make. Luis Severino got hurt. Garrett Cole was like the 4th best pitcher there for a month. So I think point comes to show they're not as good as we thought. Could they still win the American League East? Yeah, they're 8 games up as of right now. With a win today, they extended that lead over Toronto and Tampa. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're out in the American League Division Series. That's all I can say. Um, did Gene Segura just hit a home run? I saw it on the game
Yeah.
day thing. But yeah, I'm sure as a Mets fan, you like what Alex Jordan says. Darden says here, "Duh, Yankees lose." Again, we don't hate any certain team on the podcast, and if we do, we'll try to hide it for you guys. But we're gonna keep it real, and I think that the Yankees are not what we thought. And yeah, I mean, hey, if you want to look at it the bright side, Hayden, wouldn't you rather have a bad month of baseball now so you turn it back on for September so you're rolling into the playoffs? If you have a bad month in May, you might get yourself out of the mix. But if you have 2 good months and a bad month combined after that going into the final month of play, sometimes it jumps spring teams back to where they need to be for the playoffs. We saw that with the Mets and the Phillies in August last year. So, um, they're still where they need to be. Aaron Boone says they can still write the script from here on out, but it's just a matter on if they will. So there's that. Do you want to piggyback us to the next team of your choice? We still got some time left.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see what's some MLB teams that have been playing well. Let's take a look. See at.
We can do a whole recap if you want, just of the leagues. I know we didn't really officially do that.
Yeah. I mean, whatever works for you, man. I mean, we can talk about the Blue Jays, the Mariners. They've been playing pretty good ball lately.
I do want to before you do that. Do you want to give everybody a little what you thought about the Fernando suspension since I know you weren't here last podcast, and I'll look at some other things to talk
Yeah.
about in the meantime.
Yeah. So I mean, Tatis. I mean, really stupid thing to do. I mean, one, regardless, it's stupid to do that stuff in general, but Fernando Tatis was one of the faces of baseball. I mean, I think every young kid idolized him, tried to imitate his stance. I mean, did the bat flip or whatever Tatis did. I mean, he was one of the great faces of baseball. Who was a great player. I mean, defensively, offensively, Tatis was, I mean, on pace to do phenomenal things. He was on pace to be more of an all-star, slugger, Gold Glover, whatever. And it's really unfortunate that he had his fair share of injuries. I get it. It happens to all the great players, whether that's a Mike Trout, whatever. It happens. And then the fact that I saw that tweet came out of really a shock. I did not expect that. I thought it was fake at first. Little did I I did more research and it was real.
Yeah,
So right now, when it comes to that, I think that was a really stupid decision Tatis made because like I said, he was on pace and he was one of the faces of baseball. And I don't know if he will have that same respect coming back. I mean, I think a lot
he
of
was.
Major League Baseball fans are going to disrespect him. I would imagine Padre fans either. The one thing I hate is a cheater. And
Yeah,
if Tatis was on the Mets, my respect. Same thing with Cano.
which we
You know,
have
I
another topic about a player on a certain team later, right? So
yeah, I mean, Cano was a
Ryan
guy
Braun,
who I
same
didn't
thing.
mind on the Mets. I mean, I thought that Cano wasn't. I thought he was more of a leader, and then I really lost respect for Cano when he did that. Obviously, Tatis and Cano didn't take steroids or the drug enhancement performances for muscle or to build more muscle to get more strength. No, they did it to rehab. They did it so they could feel better and speed up their recovery, and that's still illegal by MLB. They still broke MLB laws, and Tatis, Cano, whoever, they have to pay for it. And I think Tatis made a stupid decision. He was on pace to be one of the best players in the game, and he made that stupid decision. I think a lot of his clubhouse members won't respect him. I don't.
He was
Yeah,
2 weeks from being back. It's crazy.
and he was. And
He
what
was in
I
El
find
Paso.
stupid is, this ringworm excuse. All the time we see, oh, my girlfriend put it in my coffee. I don't know how that happened. That wasn't me. I must have been poisoned. We hear all that. And what I say for Tatis is just save it. Ringworm, whatever, just save it. We know it's BS. I would say there's a 99% chance it's BS. I'm not knowledgeable in the medical field, so I couldn't tell you if that treats ringworm. But I've heard all the excuses in the books. I mean, the one thing that I did respect about Cano, well, I don't respect Cano, but the one thing that I found more honorable, which Cano did, was he didn't make any excuses. When Cano
I mean,
got
he's
caught
still out here
taking
playing.
steroids, I mean, well, when Cano got caught with the Mets taking, PEDs, He literally said in the press conference, "I'm not going to make any excuses. I apologize to my teammates, my friends, and my family, and I'm not going to make any excuses. I did it, and I apologize." That's what Tatis should have done, because now Tatis is making excuses and blaming this and blaming that. You're the one that did it. You know, you don't speak with, MLB doctors and, the Padres medical staff. If you have issues, I mean, I'm not going to make this a political case, but you guys get free healthcare coverage by them. You're not going to, speak with these guys. And I mean, also, you work for them. So they're going to want to know everything that's going on with you medically. So I don't believe that ringworm excuse. I think that's BS. I'm assuming you probably agree with me too, and probably everyone else in the chat. But when it comes to Tatis, just really unfortunate, very upsetting.
And I think the thing I kind of spoke about this a lot last week with RJ. I don't know if you end up seeing the replay we put up on our outlets, Hayden. But a point to make is that my friend RJ at the time was having a skin issue as well, and he had rashes, to put it in a simple term, and he was taking the same exact products that Fernando Tatis was using that had the PED issues. Now, of course, there's been nothing that's come out, the proof that he had ringworm. If it does, maybe that changes the story a little bit, knowing that, yeah, he did take it in a purpose to not enhance his abilities, being that he hadn't played in almost a year at that point, but that he was actually just a 24-year-old not being the mature person he needs to be at the point with $300 million in his bank account, trying to rehab for a team trying to win a championship, and knowing that, yeah, he did make a mistake trying to help with some sort of ringworm disease, because, yes, my friend was taking the same product or a similar product for a very similar situation. So, yes, that the whole issue could be the truth, but it's a matter of, even if that's the case, you're being paid $343 million for a team that's in the middle of a pennant chase. The Dodgers are pulling away by day. You guys are still out there winning games, unlike last year, where they completely had the bottom fall out. They got better at the deadline, and they've done everything without Fernando. He was supposed to be a trade deadline acquisition, quote unquote, and he's really let them down again. He's also been banned from playing in the World Baseball Classic, of course, because it's an MLB sanctioned event, so he will not be playing for his home country of the Dominican Republic, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, his father had a great interview with some of the people over at MLB Network, and he gave it clearly. He's like, my son has all the talent in the world, but he's got to be more mature. And it's unfortunate, because this guy was good for baseball. And a lot of people that were tired of seeing the Dodgers and Giants make runs every single year, it was kind of fun to see a team like San Diego get into the mix, not only with Machado and a lot of the young arms they had over there at the time. And that guy was just the dude. He was the face of the MLB The Show video game just a year and a half ago. And it's crazy how far things will come, because you mentioned it with Cano. Of course, he was a Met for a long time, and even the Braves tried him out a couple weeks ago. Another person we didn't mention was Ryan Braun, had the same issue, and they came back and they ended up having stable careers for parts after their suspension, but no one ever got over that fact. The boos still rained down as they were 37, 38 years old, hitting 270 with 8 homers in the month of August. And so I don't know if Fernando, as you said, is ever going to get that respect back again. Um, I don't think he's got to earn it from his clubhouse first. And if you can't earn that, and you can't earn your home fan base fans back, I don't know how you're going to fare with 29 other teams, because, by the area he comes back in, you're going to be facing every team every year. So you're going to go to Minnesota and they're going to boo. You're going to go up to Seattle, they're going to boo. You're going to go to the Bronx, they're definitely going to boo. You're not just facing the National League and your common couple AL opponents every year. So he's going to be hearing it from literally 29 other fan bases here as soon as he returns. But yeah, it's an unfortunate case, and I hate to see it, and I hope that things improve for him in the long term. Hopefully he still ends up having a great career. But yeah, I know as you said, we were a little young for the Ryan Braun and the Cano suspensions. The original ones, of course, Cano was a twice user. But this one was, I feel like, the first one that hit home for our generation, and it'll be really interesting to see what comes on. Because you look at him last year, right? The way he made things look so easy in that marine layer, it makes you wonder a little bit what was going on. So that's all for the Fernando case. I kind of want to jump bridges here over to another player with a very same but different situation, of course, for my Atlanta Braves. I accidentally had the headline up a little bit early. Marcelo Zuna DH slash corner outfielder for the Braves. Had a great 2020 season. The Braves locked him up for another 4-year deal. Granted, it was only a 2-month sample size. After letting Josh Donaldson walk that previous offseason and needing an outfielder at the time, it made sense. Him being 4 years younger and having the great year, again, once again in quotes, for the Braves to make this signing. But ever since then, it's been all but turmoil. Last before he even played a game as a Brave, there was domestic charges on his wife abusing him. A year later, 366 days to be exactly, uh, while he was at home on the injured list after Rafael Devers stepped on his hand sliding into third base, breaking his hand, he was home and then got in a fight with his wife where he also had a domestic violence charge, and he was sidelined for the rest of the year. Served his 20-30 game suspension. I believe that's what the number was. It was either 20 or 30 game suspension, even though he wasn't going to come back either way, and the Braves won a ring without him. It's unbelievable to me. It was during the Braves Mets series, which I know both of us were watching. He didn't play a single game in that series. Not a pinch hit, not a defensive substitution, which I don't think the Braves would ever do with a guy like Marcelo Zuna. Anyway, he did not step on the field for a single pitch of action during that big 4-game series, while guys like Robbie Grossman and Eddie Rosario were outperforming him, and Vaughn Grisham too. So he was already not doing a lot for this Braves team. He's hitting barely over 210. With less than 20 homers on the year, which, 20 homers is pretty good, but a lot of the Braves guys in the lineups have similar, if not better, numbers to that part. He's a negative WAR player right now. His OPS and slugging are way down from the previous years. It's looking like maybe the worst contract the Braves have on this team currently. And with this news, the Braves had thoughts on maybe offloading him this offseason for some sort of prospect, if we could make that type of trade, to replenish our farm system, give a team a DH and a new home for Azuna, and have things kind of balance out. But with this news, kind of puts the Braves in a hole. And Hayden, of course, as I said, it happened during the middle of our series. What was your original thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, with the Ozuna thing, I'm on Twitter and I read Marcelo Ozuna arrested in like somewhere in Atlanta for DUI at 4 a.m. and I'm like, is this one of these like fake troll Twitter accounts or is this legit? And then it had the authentication mark, and I said, dude, this dude just does not learn to make good choices. I mean, to quote himself, Marcelo Ozuna from the Braves is, I don't know what he said to the police officer. They released the body cam footage.
I know what he said if you want to go over that in a minute.
Yeah, this dude is an idiot. I mean, I don't like to bash MLB players, but this dude is not. I don't want to say he's not a good person because I don't know him, but it doesn't sound like a good person, simply enough to say. I mean, what he did with his wife, that is. I mean, yeah. But when it
Households on
comes to
deck.
the DUI and that stuff, I mean, it's just really unfortunate. And I more want to talk about MLB when it comes to how loose they are with a lot of this stuff. I mean, we see players that, you know,
NFL's bad too.
yeah, that, assault their girlfriends and wives and, do horrible things or even, DUI, get in a car while intoxicated and just MLB gives them a slap on the wrist. And this is maybe all sports too, NBA, NFL, whatever. And they just get a slap on the wrist. I really think a lot of these sports, companies and, sports all around, they need to start being more anal and, more strict about how about these athletes. They need to start getting more punishments. Stuff like this. If they get a slap on the wrist, I mean, yeah, Ozuna didn't win a World Series ring last year with them, and I don't think he should, anyways. Regardless, that was a horrible decision making. It's one thing if you're, like a David Price, and you didn't play because that other reason in 2020 with the Dodgers. That's one thing, but he didn't
Yeah.
deserve it for
Like Acuna and Soroka were
just
hurt.
being himself. And I think they could have, got him a ring just because, being affiliation, and I think they deserved it, where simply enough, he didn't deserve it for the person he is. When it comes to Ozuna, he's probably one of the least favorited guys in MLB. I mean, I think it's just safe to say. I mean, I'm not a Braves fan. I only watch so many Braves games. I'm sure, I
Yeah.
mean, you probably can explain more how the Braves fans' attitude are towards Ozuna. Like I know I live in Florida, so I've been to plenty of Marlins games. Never when Ozuna was in a Miami Marlin, but
Fun
it's
fact:
safe to
Marcel Ozuna was once a Gold Glove center fielder for the Marlins. How far has that
yeah.
changed as well?
Marlins had a lot of guys. Yeah, Yelich, JT Realmuto. I mean, they had it all at one point. But
Real,
and that's really sad. It's a really sad story with the Marlins, but
Yeah.
yeah, just Ozuna, horrible decision making. I mean, did he did not get a suspension. He was at bat today. What did he do today? Hopefully he went 0 for
He went
4.
0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts and boos rained down like
Good.
crazy, which is something that doesn't happen here in Atlanta. We don't like to boo our own guys, but it was what? We're alive. Do you mind elaborating?
Mark Canha just hit a 2-run homer in the top of the ninth inning to give the Mets a lead, and that was the second home run in 2 innings. Let's go Mets. All right, everyone. So Mark Canha has hit 2 home runs in, I think it was what, 3 innings? 2 home runs in 3 innings?
Mm.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So to get things started, Jeff McNeil, or Jeff McHits as I should call him, gets on base with with a double. Big surprise. Jeff McNeil, Jeff McHits, he always gets on base.
Oh
Mark
my god.
Canha hits one to left field for a 2-run homer. How about that? Robertson with his, I don't know if that's his first blown save as a Philly, but yeah. So we'll see. They have
First under this stint as a Philly, that's for sure.
but okay, yeah. So sorry. I go. Yeah, as you were saying.
I'd pretty much wrapped up that point.
All right. Yeah, I guess overall, my final thoughts on Ozuna: stupid decision making. Make smart choices, kids. Don't be like Marcelo Ozuna.
Which, of course, I'll say the reason he wanted to come back is he loved what we had built here. And the hardest part for us is not only the news that came out last year and that there had not been any law settlement. Because let's say this lawsuit goes through or this law case goes through. My mom's a criminal defense attorney here in the state of Georgia, so I do know for a fact that DUI is a felony here in the state of Georgia. So we could be talking about a potential felon in Marcelo Ozuna in the near future, which could wreck any possible trade possibilities for with him this offseason. But he came back because debatably he wanted to play here, and a lot of people like playing for the Braves, even though he's been our 11th option all year. A lot of people like the clubhouse that we built here, and it was really frustrating because Atlanta had to make another tough decision between Jorge Soler and Marcell Ozuna. Soler, of course, the World Series MVP for us last year, had a huge second half for us. Atlanta didn't have enough room for both of them on the roster, along with Eddie Rosario coming back, Acuna coming back. There just wasn't enough room, and it's really, I mean, I know Jorge Soler hasn't had the greatest year either, but I think Atlanta was willing to have, if Jorge Soler was in the spot he was in now with Ozuna off the team, I think everybody would be a little bit more cope to that because everybody didn't have the greatest spot for the guy coming into this year anyway. And then he came out, had a very bad month of April, great month of May. He was hitting third in the lineup there for a little bit. And now we're back here sitting he's not even playing. And, as the time of the DUI, he had not played all week in the biggest series of the year up to that point in time. And today he got the start, went 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. And you mentioned earlier, Hayden, his body, not body cam, the cop's body cam of him pulling him over kind of wants something like this. He walks up to Ozuna. Ozuna goes, "Hi, I'm Marcelo Ozuna from the Braves. I'm from the Braves." He says, "You know why I pulled you over, man, right?" He goes, "No, no." He said, "You were speeding on this road. You know the speed limit? You're going 90 and a 45, which that's kind of the standard for most of our suburban roads here in the Atlanta area, 45 or 35. And he was going 90 miles an hour or above that." And he goes, sorry, man. Is this your car?" He's like, "Yeah." And he hands him, instead of his license, he hands him his MLB card, his MLB official identification. I'm like, he was slurring every word. Now I know he has an accent from the Dominican, but regardless, it's just not a
He was
good look.
drunk.
And then he tries dapping up the cop like, sorry, man. It's just, first of all, if that cop's a knowledgeable Braves fan, they know, excuse my language, that you had not done diddly squat. I will PG myself there. Diddly squat for this team the last couple months. So you're not getting by with I'm Ozuna from the Braves, being that you were our 11th best hitter going into that 4 a.m. hour. So, is it not as bad of a situation last year? Sure. But the dude has not learned. And I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if the Braves DFA him September 1st or before then, because We have guys like Ozzy Albies, Arcia, even Soroka, possibly ready to make the September call up as the Braves look to go back to back and chase down your Mets, who are looking like they're going to gain a game on us today because of Mark Canha, who of course had a good series in Atlanta, right? But it's 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 really frustrating to say the least. You know, every time we'd opened our heart back to him, man. And he had some big games for us. Still not where we wanted him to be as a player. You throw him a slider, he's swinging at that. No matter if it's in the dirt, he's an automatic out at that point. You saw that with the Mets up in Queens. So it's it's a rough situation. But I hope that he finds himself as a better person. I hope that if his MLB career is done, if it is, I don't know if it comes to that point, but he finds himself a serviceable rest of his life. But of course, I don't wish this upon anybody, but I really hope that his time wearing the A is near to the end. I know we have about 10 or 15 minutes or more here. I think we might, I know since you're watching the Mets game, we could probably just chill out for until the rest of that game is over because I know you're also in the room watching the game anyway. I looked over the standings while you're talking about Fernando's suspension, of course. We already kind of mentioned on the NL Central and the NL East and the National League West. We kind of covered that. The Dodgers, 83 and 36, doing their thing. I mean, they're probably at this point, the Braves and the Mets are not catching them. They're winning. They're going to be the number one seed in the National League. Getting Mookie Betts was huge for them. It shot the fire back under their ass. Excuse my language. Didn't mean to do that. Houston, Seattle, we already kind of talked on. I guess the only division we didn't touch on was the AL Central. I know we did a White Sox Royals game recently, where we got to see those teams in action. But one thing I would mention about the AL Central, right? I think we can agree. The last decade or so, it's debatably been the worst division in baseball, where there's always one good team in there every year, but that team always gets smacked around in the first round. This year, there's finally a race in the American League Central by three teams, with those three teams are 8 games and 3 games above 500. So it's finally a race that's worth watching in that division. But the matter comes to be is that is that really something that we want to tune into? Because you look at this division, right? The Guardians got the youngest team in baseball. A lot of money to spend, even though their owner decides not to do so, and they're going to be good for a long time. The Twins made a couple of big pickups this offseason, bounced back after a terrible 2021, and they're right back in the mix with the healthy Buxton, with a Correa, with a revamped rotation. And the White Sox, who everybody had penciled in to win the division again this year, hadn't figured it out all year. We saw it on that live telecast with the Royals. They finally get out 8 games above 500, and they go right back into a skid. Right now, sitting at 62 and 59, 3.5 back. The Twins 2.5 back, and the Guardians up top at 64 and 56. First of all, let's give a hot take right now. I'll do the same. Who do you have winning the AL Central as of today?
I mean, for the most part, it's really just been Guardians, Twins, White Sox. I think I got to go the Guardians. It's a really boring division, but I think it has to be the Nimmo home run.
So
Good
that's
job,
around,
Nimmo.
man.
Nimmo, rare home run. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm gonna go the Cleveland Guardians. AL Central, I'll agree with you. For the last decade, it's really been boring. It's either been the Twins division or Guardians division. Um, and then obviously, talking 10 or so years ago, Tigers or Royals. I mean, it hasn't really been exciting all at the same time. And now we haven't seen, uh, three teams kind of in the race. I mean, Twins are a game and a half, and the White Sox are a game and a half back. But I got to go with Guardians. They really came out a surprise this year. Um, Obviously, getting a lot of production from their young stars. Andres Jimenez, obviously, I know him pretty well. And
Yeah,
then some of your, mixed type of guys that you didn't
the
really expect
Josh
to get a lot out of.
Naylors, Austin
Stephen
Hedges.
Kwan, Josh Naylor, Oscar Gonzalez,
Has Shane Bieber even
Ahmed
pitched this year?
Rosario. And then obviously, you have your pitching staff, Shane Bieber, who's been doing a pretty good job over there, Zach Plesac, Emmanuel Clase in the bullpen. But
Karen
obviously,
Jack's bounced back.
yeah, obviously Jose Ramirez has probably been probably the big spotlight of this team. I mean, this is a dude who, is one RBI away from 99, 23 homers, 281 average, 888 OPS. I mean, those taking a look at some of those basic numbers, he's been the MVP for that team, certainly. So I think it's the Guardians. I think that they've really came out a surprise. No one really had high expectations for them. Everyone thought it was the White Sox division, but White Sox were so good last year is because the whole division was garbage.
So as of right now, you're penciling in the Guardians to win the Central, right?
That is correct.
Could you see them? So that means as of today. Let's go back to the wild card standings here. They'd be facing the 6th seed in the National League, being that the 3 seed goes to a division winner. The Yankees / American League East and the Astros are not being topped at this point in time. As of right now, they'd be facing the Blue Jays. So I think they took 3 out of 4 from in the Rogers Center last week. Could you see them beating the Blue Jays in a best of 5? Or excuse me, best of 3, and it'd be in Cleveland.
I mean, right now it's hard. I mean, you look at that Cleveland rotation. Let's Google. I know, obviously, you probably have
Which I don't know if Bieber's healthy yet. So
Bieber as the number one. I think he is healthy. Bieber, Savali, Plesac, Quantrill, McKenzie. Yeah, Tristan McKenzie has had a really nice rookie season. This dude throws heat. Definitely a high strikeout guy. Does not walk plenty of guys. I mean, he's a tall, skinny dude. He throws heat. I mean, Guardians have a nice rotation, and then you look at that Blue Jays rotation. Let's see at the Blue Jays rotation as it would be right now, and that's a double for Marte. Marte Parte. Blue Jays: Barrios, Gosman, Manoah, Stripling, Mitch White, and obviously Hyunjin Ryu is on the 6-day IL. I haven't heard much from him, so that makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I really like what Manoah's been given for them this season. I mean, he's really been an underrated guy. Rios, he's been all right this year, not what expected. Stripling's been pretty good.
Odd career so far.
Gosman, I guess, and them have been average to good. I don't know. I mean, I think that lineup is probably much more favorited in Toronto. I mean, Vlad, Bo Bichette, George Springer. I mean, I think that lineup in Toronto is much better. So I'd probably say Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay. I guess I'll go down that same route. Last year, preseason, I picked a Braves White Sox World Series. I said the Braves would win the World Series in 6 games over the White Sox. It was almost what happened. I think debatably, if the White Sox got past the Astros, I think they would have beat the Red Sox too. So I was, to be honest, pretty close to a weird odd there. And I don't usually pick the Braves to win the World Series preseason, so that was like the one year I did, and that's why it's even more proud that we won last year because I actually picked them to win the World Series. But as of right now, I want to see the White Sox do it. They're a really fun team. And to be honest, their window is not as far open as we think it is. A lot of their guys are under contract in a couple years where they're going to have to make some tough decisions. And as of right now, I don't trust the White Sox to make all the best decisions in the world. You got Lucas Giolito being freed up next year. I think Lance Lynn at the end of this year. Moncada in a year or two. Yasmani Grandal in a year or two. So Luis Robert is probably 2 or 3 years away as well. Abreu's getting older, so debatably the White Sox, while they got a great roster on paper and everything has just gone wrong for them this year, a bunch of underperformances, I just don't see a way they can lose this year, being that their window is already short. And Cleveland has got many years to do what they need to do. And I believe if they pay Bieber just like they pay J-Ram to get both of their cornerstones locked up, they're going to be good for 5 or 6 years. Which, they're a very smart organization. And if they start spending a little bit more money, they're going to be scary. So personally, for the better of baseball, I would like to see the White Sox win it this year, overcome the odds. I don't know if they'll go far, but just knowing that they don't have many years to win this championship as we thought a couple of years ago, I would like to see them do it this year because I think you and I can agree, Hayden. Cleveland's good right now. They're probably going to be better next year and the next year and the year after that. So, which I don't see the White Sox being in that same realm. I mean, I hate to use the Braves again, but that's the team, of course, I know best. 2018, the Braves were a shocker. They won 90 games on a down year for the Nationals. And, of course, I know the Mets, the Phillies, and the Marlins were all kind of scrambling about as well. The Braves took advantage. They won 90 games that year with one of the best farm systems, and they only got better. Won 97 games the next year. One that made it to the NLCS, took it to the Dodgers to Game 7. And then last year, while having a injury riddled year and having a great competition in the division for once. They were able to persevere, win the division, and they got better, and the storyline kept going up and up. I can see that with the Guardians. I don't see that with the White Sox. And that's why, as of right now, I would like to see the White Sox win the Central. I don't know if they'd beat the Blue Jays in a best of three in Chicago because, as we mentioned on our broadcast, they don't play as well at home. So I could see the Blue Jays coming in there, smacking them up on the face, and saying we're going to go face our rivals up in the Bronx for the DS. But as of right now, I am still going to pick the White Sox to win the American League Central. I've been rocking with them all year. They remind me a lot of the Braves, kind of to a degree. So I want to see them succeed, Tony La Russa or not, and that's where I have it.
No, I agree with you. I think you look at what the Guardians have done now this year, and like I said, expectations were not high. And I mean, they got a couple guys in the mix down in the farm, especially in AAA. I think this Guardians team could definitely be pretty good next year.
So I guess because the Phillies are in the bottom of the ninth, we'll probably stay on for a couple more minutes while Edwin Diaz does his thing. Is there any other teams you want to spotlight specifically?
Ooh, first pitch swing. Let's talk about the Padres. I think they've kind of been
Oh yeah,
really
Hader and Devin Williams. I got to cover that.
yeah. Padres. They've really been struggling lately. Taking a look at the Padres, obviously, if they don't win today, they would lose the series to the Washington Nationals. Obviously, Padres have just not been having it lately. I mean, I get it. There's 67 and 56, so they're still 10 games plus over 500, but they've really been struggling lately. I get it. Soto, he's on a new team. He's trying. Diaz is getting beaten up. Wow.
I mean, hey, it's been a couple months, so maybe he's due for a rough outing, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I know we're talking about Josh Hader, and he's been having a big rough outing lately. So, like I said, we'll see right now with that. But yeah, with the Padres, they just have not been having it lately. I mean, Josh Hader really has been getting lit up big time in outings. I mean, we're not talking, a solo home run or, a 2-run homer. We're talking, 5, 6 runs in an inning with Hader. And I just don't know what it is with Hader. I mean,
against the Nationals of all teams.
I don't know what it is with Hader. I mean, his fastball definitely hasn't looked as meaty, trying to go down the zone. And simply enough, just their offense has not, I don't know. Padres, it's tough. I know they had a big collapse last year, and obviously losing Tatis, Padre fans were, ambitious and hopeful that he was going to come back. He's a great morale booster, Tatis. I mean, and he provides great stuff, to this team. I think anyone would rather have Tatis Jr. on their team than, Hassan Kim as shortstop. No offense to him, but
yeah,
Padres. I don't know what it is with them. They've been a little slump. We know that they had a big collapse last year, like the Mets. Maybe even a little bit worse, considering all the talent they had with the huge contracts. But we'll see.
Another point I think that's interesting with the Padres, as we mentioned, they are starting to slip again this year, but they're at the point where they haven't lost it yet. It's just that the Dodgers have been really good, and as of right now, they're still going to be in the playoffs. And if you just get in, you give yourselves a shot. Another point that I think is really interesting, of course, the Juan Soto trade. I think it's funny that they've already had 2 series versus the Nationals since then. Right away, he goes home, makes his homecoming, had a couple big hits against them. I don't know if he had a homer in that series, but I do know he had a couple RBIs, and they had a lot of big cheers for him. I think at this point, it's a win-win for Washington. They're tanking. They get to see their guy come back home already, put on one more show for the Capitol. So what do you think that is for baseball? Because I know last year with Baez, Bryant, and Rizzo, not all of them made the return to Wrigley Field. I believe only Chris Bryant did with the Giants. It's kind of interesting to see guys like come home right away. I know Will Smith, the Braves closer last year, made his return this weekend with Houston, but I thought that was another funny moment to say the least.
Yeah, it is, and especially obviously a young guy who was kind of the face of the franchise when he was there. I mean, obviously and I feel bad for the Nationals. I know I'm coincidentally wearing a Nationals hat right now, but I really feel bad for that organization. I mean, this was a team that had the talent, and Mike Rizzo and their front office just gave up, and that's unfortunate that there's that thinking and that mentality around the game today. I mean, I think you and I are considered lucky. Yeah, and I mean, I think you and I are considered lucky that Mets have a great owner in Steve Cohen and GM and Billy Epler, and obviously you guys have your guys. So obviously I don't think the Mets and Braves will have to go that route at all, soon. But unfortunate the Nationals took the route they did. I mean, they had all the talent. They win a World Series. I get it. You lost Harper first, but 2019 they proved they didn't need Harper to win.
Harper still has not
Really
made the
kind of,
playoffs with the Phillies.
yeah. And I mean, I think Soto kind of took more over the role over Harper in 2019. And I mean, he did phenomenal stuff in 2019. And then obviously they won the World Series, and then immediately you lose Rendon. And after that, some of your veteran pieces retire. And then obviously, you lose a lot of your big talent players. Obviously, Scherzer and Turner. Strasburg goes on the injury list, and then obviously losing Soto. I mean, it's just really, and Josh Bell later on. It's just really unfortunate that the Nationals took the route they did. And it's weird that, like you said, Soto went directly back to Nationals Park, and then they went to Petco Park. And you don't see that in baseball often. I mean, we've seen it with guys like Bryant return to Wrigley Field, and, they show them on the jumbo board, the highlights, and they get emotional. It's great. But, obviously wish Soto the best of luck out in San Diego, and, we'll see how things go for him.
But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps that up. Of course, if I see that Edwin Diaz is having a finger issue. Is that true?
I don't know. He's definitely not looking as sharp. Obviously, some light two blooper contact hits, and then some command trouble.
Thank God for that
All
Nemo
right,
home run,
so
right?
that'll get in a run at least. So that'll get in a run. That's a side fly. It's only one more out to go. Yeah, Diaz is definitely not looking as sharp as he has. His slider isn't looking super great. Really trying to attack with the fastball, and he hasn't been connecting with the zone. And obviously, like I said, it's a one-run ball game. So good thing Nimmo hit that home run before. But yeah, this is Diaz has not been looking as good as
As somebody
he
whose
did.
closer walks a guy every inning, it's kind of good to see some human in that man Edwin Diaz today. But I'll say this, knowing that we're waiting for this Mets game to wrap up before we end the show this week. If there's a day for you guys to blow a save, I guess today would not be the worst scenario, right? Being that the Braves already lost. At worst, you're going to split a series against a team that you've dominated all year. You got a day off before you face a team
Ooh.
and the Yankees who are mightily struggling. And wouldn't you rather have Edwin Diaz blow a game now than in October? Get a couple of them out in your system now, so he's back for the last couple of weeks of September. Get that little blip out now. So, but
Yeah,
as of
I
right
mean,
now, he's still can get the save.
yes, he would be on pace to get the save. Yeah, I don't know. Diaz definitely isn't looking as sharp as he has. Obviously, cannot locate the strike zone. It seems. Maybe that first pitch was subjective. You could have made an argument that first pitch was a strike, but
Looks
you
like
would
it.
really like to get Segura out here. Obviously, simply enough.
Let's put it on
Obviously, I mean,
the
you
let's put it on the
would
game
still be
cast.
facing the number 9 hitter, but this has definitely been a crazy good game. Obviously, 10-9 right now. Obviously, one more round. That is a strike. So we have a 3-1 count here. Play by play. 3-1 count here.
Pre-game show.
Yeah, pregame show, postgame show, all that. Yeah, we will see.
Gene Segura
Swing
at
and
the
a miss,
dish.
strike 2. So this next pitch can be the game ender or can extend it. Obviously, you do have your number 9 hitter up on deck in Zimmer, who the Phillies just acquired. Kind of an underrated guy from the Toronto, I believe. Yeah, from the Blue Jays. Not really a talked about guy. I think it's kind of an interesting, defensive guy for the Phillies, considering the Phillies' defense has not been the greatest this year. So I think it provides some great defense, and obviously with Harper out, you don't have to rely on Schwarber and Castellanos out there defensively.
Hmm.
So 3-2 the pitch, and that'll be ball 4, and that'll get
Uh-oh.
by. So we'll have runners on first and second with 1 out, and then number 9 hitter Bradley Zimmer coming up.
Now
Obviously,
look,
with the base hit, that'll probably tie it. I mean, I'd imagine.
who's at second base?
Oh, they're gonna have Hall DH. Okay. Second base, I believe, is Castellanos. So I believe a single would probably get things done. Diaz is not looking sharp. Obviously, Edwin Diaz, like I said, his slider just doesn't seem to be intact. I mean, the drop on his slider definitely is not there, and his fastball command is not there. Like I said, he whether it's the Phillies are just taking really selective at bats or his just command is not there. His velocity is pretty low. Well, no, it's not. Maybe on the slider, but fastball's still there. It's a crazy game. Obviously, 10 runs, 16 hits, and then for the Phillies, 9 runs, 14 hits, 2 errors. So
Shout out to
obviously,
everybody in
Edwin.
the chat. Make sure everybody likes the video. Of course, we'll have another episode for you guys Saturday or Sunday next week. And this podcast isn't going anywhere. We'll carry you guys throughout the offseason and throughout the playoff race as well.
So swing and a miss. That'll be strike one. 1-1 count here from Derek Hall. Yeah, obviously this has been an interesting thing, interesting situation Diaz has got himself in. So 1-1 count here from Edwin Diaz. He will throw the pitch, swing and a miss, strike two, high fastball, 99 miles per hour. Hall will chase at that. And the Phillies are down to their final strike once again on a 1-2 count here from Derek Hall, who's been doing pretty good for the Phillies actually this year as their DH. Diaz having a pretty rare, unfortunate outing, hoping to get out of it.
That's going to be it.
Take it right down on the corner of the zone. Strike three, 99 on the fastball, and the ball game is over. The Mets win it by a score of 10-9. That was a nail biter of a game for sure. Diaz coming into this and 2 little blue pits and gets out of it. That's what you like to see. Diaz with the save. That is what you like to see. Phenomenal.
Anyways, I think that's a good point to wrap it up. We should be back on the air. Hayden, you're not able to make the stream tonight, correct?
Correct.
So anyways, I'll try to find somebody. If not, it'll be you guys will be stuck with me. So thank you again for another episode of the Longball podcast with Blake and Hayden. If you guys liked what you saw today, make sure to like the video, subscribe on all our platforms that we're streaming to. And if not, I will see you guys in about 20 or 25 minutes right back up on the air for Orioles at Red Sox Sunday Night Baseball. So you guys had a great stream, and we'll talk to you guys soon. So let's go enjoy some baseball tonight.